Welcome everybody to my top 5 upcoming games of 2015. Let's dive straight into this one today. At number 5, we have H1Z1. The rise of zombie survival games in 2013 and 2014 has been staggering. The original, and many argue the best, is DayZ, which launched its own early access alpha in late 2013. Funny thing though, it still hasn't left that phase. Development has been relatively slow, and that's left the door open for other developers. And right here, we have Sony Online Entertainment, who are most famous for bringing us PlanetSide 2. The key thing that stood out for me with this game is the development path. They focused on things that people actually wanted to see within a zombie survival game. Probably the most common one is base building, and that's something that Bohemia Interactive, the guys who make DayZ, have been promising since the game hit that alpha stage, and it still hasn't arrived yet. Something else too, the game runs on the same engine as PlanetSide 2, which has the potential, wait for this, to run up to 1,000 players per server at any one time, and that can be across a massive barrage of servers as well. I think currently, the max player count per server that you can have on DayZ is less than 100, so you can see the comparison that I'm trying to make here. The development team are still working hard on balancing the game, but they kind of feel that they need the help of a wider community, and as such you can grab this game, H1Z1, on Steam Early Access from January the 15th. The game will cost £20 or $20 depending on where you are in the world for Early Access, but the game will be free to play when it launches after that alpha stage has finished. But it will be supported by microtransactions, which kind of gives me a little bit of a niggle in the back of my head, but we have been told by the development team it's not concrete that these microtransactions will only be cosmetic. But as I said, that's not concrete, so it's only going to stay that way for now. Future changes could be made. At number 4, we have Evolve. Now for me, this one was tricky to place. It's lucky that it even made it into my top 5 really. There is a reason that it is here though, and it's relatively simple to explain. It's a co-op game. The last big co-op game, I'd have to argue, was Left 4 Dead 2, which was made by the same studio, Turtle Rock. That game is still one of the highest ranked games on Steam, where it can be seen with roughly 10,000 consistent players at any one time. That's a staggering amount of players for a game that's quite old now. And looking at Evolve, made by the same developer, I'm excited to see what they're going to bring us with Evolve. The game does move away from the zombie theme, and it's a little bit further out into the land of fantasy. You and your buddies are pitted against a giant monster in a 4 versus 1 scenario. So you have 4 of your mates playing as what essentially are just players on a map, and one of your friends can play as the soldier too, which is quite a cool touch. Your objective though is to kill the monster. You have 3 ways in which to fight it, and it's always going to be getting stronger and more powerful and can use different moves against you. To succeed in this game, you're going to need to use teamwork. Certain parts of the community have actually expressed their concerns about the replayability of this title, and I kinda have to stand with them. The content that we've seen so far doesn't look like it will stretch very far into the game's life cycle, to be honest. But hey, we haven't seen the full game yet, and the developers are keen to show us a little bit more actually. The game does have another beta that's scheduled for this January, so at some point within the next couple of weeks, there will be another opportunity for you to try this game. So if you do want to give it a go, best you keep your eyes peeled. At number 3, we have Rainbow Six Siege. Now this game has got me really excited. Have you ever watched those tense movie scenes where you know someone's in the house and you're the ones that are sent in to go and grab them? Yeah, well, you can pretty much do that in this game. It's 5v5, police versus lawbreakers. You've got to go in and rescue the hostage. The environments that the game is set in look absolutely gorgeous, and something that you can really relate to as well, like suburban areas. and it seems to offer a lot of destructibility too. If you want to take out the dude in the room below you, you don't want to use the stairway, that's far too obvious. You can put a breaching charge on the ground and just blow your way through it. You can rip through walls and doors and windows. You can basically use the environment to your advantage if you want to. What really grabbed me with Siege, as I said, is the fact that you can relate to these areas so well. Plus, it could offer another game arena for esports with that 5v5 mode. And esports is again something that has ballooned upwards in the last 12 months. One thing that's keeping me really apprehensive against this game is the producer behind the title. It's Ubisoft. Their track record now, I think, even outstrips EA's old record, where for releasing broken and unfinished titles, they were pretty much unparalleled. Ubisoft seems to have taken over that role now, but we all know that publishers are in the business to make money. And perhaps games like Assassin's Creed Unity that was released recently were simply pushed to capitalise on sales of the Xbox One and PS4, I'm not too sure, but I severely hope Ubisoft don't do it with this one. It could be a great FPS title.
Alright, I got the window. Go!
Number 2, Star Wars Battlefront. This game could be the game of the genre. Something that we haven't seen in the FPS genre for quite a long time now is games that break the mould. We've seen that with Battlefield Hardline that's coming out soon, and Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, both sort of sidestepping what you would normally expect from their franchises, but you can't get much more scientific and out there than Star Wars. But with much hype comes much expectation, and we all know what happened when DICE and EA hyped Battlefield 4. Made by the same development team, who firmly implanted the term netcode forever into gamers' brains, comes perhaps the most anticipated movie game for a long time. Due to be released alongside the new Star Wars film in late 2015, DICE have a huge challenge on their hands. Many expected the title to be named Star Wars Battlefront 3, but this isn't the case. DICE are going to give it their own treatment, as they've been quoted as saying, and it will have their own style and representation of what they think the game should be like. Not much else has been shown off in terms of gameplay so far. We do know that it's going to be running on the Frostbite engine, which is pretty common for most EA games these days. EA do actually own the engine. And this is the game that should come out working and ready to fight, because if it does, EA and Disney will have to pat themselves on the back and the money will start pouring in. It's probably one of the biggest movie franchises out there, and if you're going to make a game to go alongside it, then Star Wars games are going to sell extremely well as well. They do have a weight of a global fan base above their heads though, and it's unlikely to hold back if they don't deliver. If this game doesn't come out and deliver on its promises, the community are going to be one unhappy bunch. And at number 1, we have Battlefield Hardline. Now, some of you might not agree with this decision. Let me try and explain why I've put this top of my list. It is there for a completely different reason to what you might expect. My channel's mainly Battlefield focused, and that might be the reason why, but actually I've chosen it for a different reason. I've been heavily involved with the development of this game, or at least in the last 6 to 8 months anyway, since we first got a whiff of it back in summer 2014 I think it was. I've been over to the Visceral Games development studios in California and met the team that are working on this title. And I have to say, I don't think I've met a more open and honest bunch of guys. Ever. They released Hardline into a beta form back in June 2014 with the intention of showing it off to the community and gathering feedback for the game, which is pretty much standard practice for Battlefield nowadays. The last 2 or 3 games have done that for us. But due to the amount of feedback they actually received and the complexity of some of the suggestions, Visceral took the decision to delay the game. What's happened since then is nothing short of astounding. The team have worked on existing ideas, but have actually listened to the community's feedback. A lot of times, a development studio will ask for feedback, kind of take it on, but implement what they want to do anyway. Not with Visceral. They've implemented items people wanted, adjusted game mechanics that people don't like, and what they did was realise that their vision for the game wasn't 100% sort of suited to what the community expected. Many development studios can be very single-minded, as I said, and they simply plough on with what they think is right, or what they think their game should be, or become. But not this team. Visceral have been working on the game for 3 years, and in the last 7 to 8 months, and in terms of 3 years, 7, 8 months, that's not a huge amount of time, they have completely revamped their roadmap for the release of this game. They've changed so many different things to suit the community, or at least the majority of the community, that I think they should be applauded for that. And that is the reason why this title is top of my pile for 2015. It's not because it's Battlefield, I'll play it till the cows come home, it's the next game. No, it's the approach that the development team have actually taken towards it, and delivered on it as well. They invited the criticism and feedback, and they took it all on board. And I think you'll find with the beta when it comes out just how different the game is based on the amount of feedback that was given. It might sound like I'm only touching on the really good things for this game. There are some bad things. I think the setting is going to put off a lot of players buying this game who are familiar with the Battlefield franchise, and that's just something that you can't avoid with changing it so drastically. Visceral took a chance, and from what I can see and what I've played of the game, they've delivered so much for this game. It's going to be really exciting when this game comes out. But that's my top 5 games upcoming for 2015. I'm damn sure that you've got something different to tell me, so make sure you leave it down in the comments today. But thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, if you could leave me a rating, that'd be great. But thank you very much for watching. My name is Westy, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.